1 week ago, I started playing Diablo 4, and it was pretty fun actually. Maybe this isn't surprising to people who don't read stuff online and buy into it, but with all the criticism this game gets, you would think this game is the worst game of all time. Steam reviews shit on it, content creators shit on it, even its own subreddit shits on it. So I'm very glad that my friend gifted it to me and that I gave the game a fair chance. Now obviously the game isn't without its flaws, but here's what I liked about it. I'm going to be drawing a lot of comparisons to Path of Exile 2, which was my first and only ARPG I really spent a lot of time on. So if you dislike Diablo 4 because you played the older Diablos or you have experience with other ARPGs, just know that I'm not drawing from the same perspective. It would be like explaining why Michael Jordan is the GOAT to someone who only watched LeBron. I digress. The first reason I really enjoyed Diablo 4 is the gearing system. For pretty much the entire game, I used gear that I found myself. For reference, I can clear Torment 4 Belial and have cleared up to Pit 85. I don't exactly know where that puts me, but I would say I'm fairly into the endgame. And that's all with gear I farmed myself besides one amulet that I bought for relatively cheap. Basically, I barely had to interact with the trade system. Contrast that with Path of Exile 2, where the trade system is basically the entire gearing system. In Diablo, you farm content so you can get gear, so you can do harder content to try and get even better gear. In Path of Exile 2, you farm content so you can get currency to buy your gear. Then, you can do harder content to make even more currency to buy even better gear. In theory, the process of farming to get better gear is the same, but in practice it really isn't. It feels great to find the gear you need, and this applies to both games. Of course in Path of Exile 2 you could farm your own gear, otherwise no one would play SSF, but in Diablo this happens much more frequently and is much simpler. Which brings me to my next point, which is that Diablo is a simple game. In my eyes, simple does not mean boring. It just meant that I had more time to interact with the parts about the game I liked, instead of having to think about other things. Though I only dabbled in Path of Exile 1, there is a definite information overload in that game. And I know it isn't just me, because Rax has made multiple hour-long guides specifically for overwhelmed players. For Diablo, I watched one 10-minute video and read 2 build guides, and that's all I really needed to get to where I wanted. My last point is a bit of a stupid one, but I liked seeing damage numbers and I liked watching them go up quickly. Maybe it's the Korean in me that's so drawn to the Korean MMO style of damage numbers, but just look at all these numbers I'm putting out, man. It's definitely something I didn't realize I missed in Path of Exile. Now it may just sound like I'm bad-mouthing PoE 2, but in reality, both games have their strengths and weaknesses. Since I seem to only come across criticism of Diablo, I decided to share some of the things I enjoyed about it as a new player. Now as for some of the bad, as someone who has only spent 6 days and a total of 70 hours, I definitely couldn't begin to list what everyone has to complain about this game. A major criticism to the game is that new content is locked behind a paywall. Because I got gifted the game and this is my first season, I haven't necessarily developed a sore spot for having to pay for new content yet. But if, for example, I had to pay for new content just for it to be the same recycled content in the future, I would be upset too. But to play a bit of devil's advocate, the game is on sale right now, and I definitely feel like I got my quote-unquote money's worth out of the game. Now the next point of contention is the seemingly non-existent endgame. As far as I know, pushing pits and doing uber bosses has been the only endgame in Diablo 4, while all the seasonal content basically exists just so you can farm materials to push the pits again. This is what I've gathered in my short time of watching other content creators. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. But while this might be super problematic for those seeking long play times with this game, once again, I personally am content with what I got out of Diablo 4, which was 70 enjoyable hours. Now, somehow, Diablo has an even worse trading system than Path of Exile. Its website is harder to use, and the economy is beyond broken. Gold, which is the trading currency of this game, feel like Zimbabwean dollars. Any half-decent item will sell for billions of gold. Additionally, Blizzard doesn't seem to care about item duping, so you can acquire hundreds, if not thousands, of the most valuable boss material in the game. If a functional trading system is important to you, then this is definitely not where you're going to find it. But even though I personally found it very convenient to have more gold and husks than I know what to do with, I can say with confidence that you can do without these things. Now finally, people have a lot of complaints about the gearing system in this game, particularly tempering and masterwork. However, if not for these systems, I personally can't see how the game would be any fun, because people would basically complete their gear in a matter of days. Yeah, triple masterworking an item can definitely be cringe, but when it hits, it hits. Now for a personal complaint, I didn't realize I was signing up to play Genshin Impact all over again when I had to find 160 of these stupid ass shrines to unlock permanent stat bonuses. The whole process of finding a shrine then marking it on a website map was eerily familiar. This one I can't even play devil's advocate for. This was just wholly redundant and made you traverse to parts of the map you're never gonna see again. Listening back to this, it sounds like I have a lot more objectively bad things to say about Diablo, but I want to make it very clear that I very much enjoyed this game. I think it's definitely worth a try if you enjoy progression-based games, and you shouldn't let the negativity surrounding this game stop you from giving this game a fair chance. And if you do play Diablo 4, please let me know what you think of the game. Thank you for watching, see you next time.